Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. Today I'm in London at the Arterton showroom with my friend Anders Sundström. Anders is an expert in shoe polishing, and today we'll be ranking different shoe polishes. Anders, welcome to the channel.
Thank you.
Now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be ranking polishes from top to bottom. We'll be looking at wax polishes, so something that you would get in a tin that's typically like a hard wax versus a cream polish. The ranking guides that we've got are quite whimsical. We've got at the top shines like a diamond, moving down to super slick. We'll also have daily gleam, so something that's very middle of the road, and then working down we've got works in a pinch all the way to rough as dirt. So let's get started with the one that I think everyone knows, Saphir.
So Saphir is one of the most well-known brands out there, and first of all, they do really good chemistry, no doubt about it. And we should really start by looking at the polishes. So first off, you would have the Saphir Pate. This is the most well-known. It's actually a soft wax polish, or softer wax polish, consisting of more of the natural and mineral waxes. And they also use turpentine, which is a very important part of the chemistry of a good wax polish. Because if you use mainly naphtha, you would actually lose some of the evaporation properties that are necessary for the speed of a high shine when you build layers. Because evaporation will speed up solidification of the wax, because it will draw energy and cool down the wax. It's a very key part of the process of building layers. So the Pate is actually a great product because it has, you have beeswax, you have canuba, you have montane waxes, and you have mineral waxes. And it's a great mixture because it creates quite of a easy build-up layer. And I would argue that it actually has capacity to avoid, in a way, the cracking issue when you build Spitshine. Because obviously when you build a thick layer, you would potentially crack it when you flex. So this is some of the issues you would run when building Spitshine. So I would definitely rank that as a top one.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good polish.
Are we talking absolute top tier or?
Yes.
Fantastic.
It's one of the top tiers. Definitely, it is a good product. Now, they also have the Mirror Gloss.
Yes.
The Mirror Gloss is a hard polish. And if you compare those two, most who have worked with both will notice that the Mirror Gloss is actually very hard. And the idea with the Mirror Gloss is you want speed when building layers, which hardness is ideal.
Okay.
The problem you're going to have with Mirror Gloss, because obviously you're going to build layers fast. But what they did is that, similar to the Pate, is that you use about 50% naphtha and 20% turpentine. So it's a mixture of naphtha and turpentine. It's not only turpentine. And then you add more of the harder waxes, which would be montane waxes.
Okay.
Now, montane waxes has a great feature of shine. That would be good. However, when you solidify a mineral-based wax, especially montane waxes, it will shrink.
Oh, okay, so is that why when you get a tin of polish, sometimes the polish looks like it doesn't fit the tin?
Yeah, that is one, for example. That has something to do with evaporation of the solvents. But if you put the wax polish on the leather, and as soon as the solvent evaporates and the wax film solidifies, it will start to shrink even after it's dried. And it has that chemical property. And the problem you will run into if you have a high content of the montane waxes is cracking of the wax layers over time. So if you put the shoes in the wardrobe, they will crack even if you don't use them.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's one of the issues I've seen with the Mirror Gloss. One of the issues. Again, it is really efficient to build layers, yes, and it will create a good shine. But a good polish is not only a shine, it's longevity of the shine itself. So that is one of my concerns with that product. It is also one of the big problems with montan waxes is the high melting point. So some people who uses mirror gauze have a problem with that it doesn't melt on your fingers when you want to speed build a shine. Because then you need to, for example, apply multiple layers fast. You will run into that kind of issues. So again, it's a great product. It has some good features. It has some problems. So I would rank it more towards the top middle, the super slick. Again, a good product, but it doesn't really. I would say that the Pate would be superior because it has some of those features that create a general good shine for longevity, which is more important than just looking good when you're finished.
Interesting.
Yes.
So how would you rank the soft creams that Saphir offers?
So the soft cream, the Pommadier, again, a great product. The big feature of this is the pigmentation, I would say. That's the niche. It has high content of pigmentation. It is as good as it could be bad, because I've seen a lot of users actually using it, and it creates almost a painted layer of pigmentations over the grain, which almost ruin the shoe. It could be used well, it could be used not so great. I would also say super slick for the Pommadier. It's a good cream. It has nourishment. It has great shine potential. It has good nourishment properties, and definitely a good shine. So definitely super slick.
Great. Moving on,
Yes.
we'll come to another brand that is definitely within the echelon of specialist shoe care. Would be Boot Black.
Boot Black. So Boot Black, the Japanese brand, really interesting brand. They have a good polish that uses turpentine. They uses carnauba, beeswax, and I would assume mineral waxes. I don't know their formula by heart, but yes, it's a good polish. The problem I have when I've played with it is that it's a bit grainy. It has a tendency to be a bit grainy, which is a tendency of typically when you either haven't fully solidified it properly after filling, because you need a cooling process that is a bit delicate, and if you don't cool it properly, it will not gel properly. The wax blend will not gel properly, and you could have grain issues.
Are you talking about during manufacture? Or?
During manufacturing.
Okay.
Correct. So that is some of the concern I have with that product. Obviously, you can do a good shine. You could use it to do a mirror shine, of course. So you could build layers with it. But because of the grain structure, it hasn't properly blended together to proper gel.
Interesting.
Wax gel. So that's why I would maybe put in a Daily Gleam, maybe mid.
That mid tier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that grainy structure has some issues.
Yeah, I can
But
understand.
it's a absolutely good polish, of course. I mean, if we look at Boot Black, their absolute best product is the artistic palette.
Great. So what about Boot Black's cream?
So the cream in Boot Black is their hero product. Literally the best product in their assortment. And I think that's widely known also. When it comes to a good cream polish, when we rank a good cream at the top, you can't really compare to a polish, obviously, when it comes to shine. Because when you build a cream, you value not only shine, but you also value waterproofing, you also value nourishment and pigmentation. So a cream is very different. It's like comparing apples and pears when it comes to, obviously, polish.
Got it.
Well, this cream from Boot Black is literally the best product in the assortment, and I would definitely rank it as the top. Shine like a diamond, because it actually provides really good shine. If you work with it, great shine, great patina, so you could really create a nice finish on the leather, which really, if you compare to other creams, it's not that often the case, because again, it's a product where you compromise between the different properties. because usually it's some sort of emulsion. You mix water and wax. So I would rank this quite high because it has all the function. It's really great pigmentation and really great nourishment as well. And you do get waterproofing, which is literally the biggest issue for most creams. Waterproofing, when it comes to a cream, is challenging because you mix a lot of different components, but in the end you need a surface that has this hydrophobic surface. So yeah, top tier, definitely.
Excellent. So that sounds like Boot Black is going to be the best cream polish for the person that just likes to rejuvenate the colour of their shoes, give it a once over with a brush or maybe a cloth, and just have that nice sort of semi-shine for the day.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the beauty of a proper cream. You make it fast. It's a convenient product. A polish is harder, it takes a little bit more time, but a cream is fast, it's easy, it's convenient, it's soft, so you can work with it quite easy. So that's why a cream like the palette, it's a great product to use.
Excellent. So moving on to our next brand, and this one might be a bit controversial. It's Kiwi.
Yeah, so Kiwi, we don't really know what's happening with Kiwi. Will they be lost through history, or will they remain? Will they be bought up? We don't know at the moment. But they do have a core part in history when it comes to polishes. We all know the Parade Gloss, and the standard Kiwi polish has been, you can easily find it anywhere, and it's been widely used through history.
Definitely, I think that's something in my own menswear journey, and even now, Kiwi's been the brand that I can rely on being available in a lot of different places, supermarkets, corner shops. It's the cheaply available everyman shoe polish. Yeah,
and I mean, I can tell you, if I look at my father's shoe care bag, you will find a Kiwi Parade Gloss and Kiwi. I mean, most old gentlemen will have it. Anyhow, so if we look at the products though, we can start with the standard polish. It is obviously a compromise when you have to lower the cost as they've done, but their focus is consistency, which would mean that this product is not as agile and for a high shine if you compare for the higher brands. So maybe I would rank this low, as rough as a dirt, but if you're going to take the price into account.
Of course.
Yeah. Looking at the Parade Gloss though, this is an interesting product because it still has a quite valuable low price point, but it's a harder wax for a higher shine. I mean, this would be trying to compete with the Mirror Gloss, obviously.
From Saphir.
From Saphir, yeah, exactly. The thing about the Parade Gloss is, yes, you have Carnauba wax, which is the harder natural wax you want for high shine. But it's also made with a lot of paraffin, microcrystalline waxes. It doesn't use turpentine. Now, using this product, you will notice that you will have more tendency with cracking. Not cracking of the wax layer, cracking of the leather.
Interesting, okay.
Yes, it is because generally when you talk about polishes, you don't get a lot of nourishment. However, it will easily dry up the product if it doesn't have some of the nourishing waxes, like beeswax, for example. So, because it does have a lot of solvents, okay, it can be a bit harsh. So the Parade Gloss will be able to build a fairly good shine, but it has a tendency to dry out the leather slightly. So you have to be a bit careful when using that product. And I mean, paraffins are really good for waterproofing, but for shine and good for the leather, not so much. So this would be a mid-low works as a peach kind of product, if I'm going to be honest. But again, a perfectly good product for normal households.
Okay, so on to our next brand. Now, this one is quite special, and it's one of the reasons why we've got Anders with us today. Although this video is not sponsored, Paul Brunngard is a unique product in the shoe care world. Why is that, Anders?
I'm actually the man behind Paul Brunngard.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So I'm actually an engineer, but I come from a passion for shoe care. I've competed with shoe care, competed in shoe shining championships in Sweden, and I really want to bring that passion into this brand. Even though I come from an engineering standpoint, I wanted to have that twist and not be too designy, too markety,
Mm-hmm.
and really having focus on the quality, the craftsmanship.
Excellent. So essentially, Paul Brunngard has been formulated over your many years of trying and testing other different polishes, which, like I say, is why Anders is with us today, because essentially you've got more experience in the world of shoe care than I could ever hope to. So we're also expecting that Paul Brunngard's probably going to rank pretty high, but let's see, where would you put the hard waxes?
Yeah, so we have two waxes, and we have Sublime Wax and Spitshine.
Okay.
Both are polishes. It's not a cream polish, rather a hard polish. And I would say, for example, the Sublime Wax is a softer polish.
That's that one there.
Yeah, this is the Sublime Wax.
Okay.
Whilst the Spitshine is harder.
Yep.
And if we look at Sublime Wax generally, this is what we want to use, what I wanted to achieve was a convenient polish, apply easy, get a really high shine. For someone who might or not want to do Spitshine, obviously you can do it. So these two products are different types of products. It's a bit apples and pears still. They're different tools for different processes of the shoe care routine. So they're a bit optimized for the different parts.
So essentially, depending on what the user wants to get from their shoe care routine, a different product's going to do a different thing for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So the Sublime Wax obviously uses carnauba wax, beeswax, a little more of the soft waxes to make sure that you can easily apply it. It's soft, it nourishes leather slightly, but really when you use a polishing brush like the Yacker brush, you can achieve that really nice shine. But it's easy, it's convenient. You can Spitshine with it, of course you can.
Okay.
But here's the difference. This Spitshine is made for passionate freaks like me.
Not freaks, I would say. I would say enthusiasts.
Enthusiasts, yeah. So the thing about the Spitshine is, if we take the Sublime Wax, you can obviously achieve a really good shine. I would rank it to super slick, top to mid.
Okay.
Absolutely. But if we go to the Spitshine, we can actually achieve an even greater shine and easier build-up. So this product is still optimized for a good, easy shine. But the Spitshine is optimized for building layers, and especially fast. Speed is the key.
Awesome. So if you're the sort of person that likes that mirror shine, that really gleaming toe cap, the Spitshine is the one.
Yeah. And here we made sure to use more harder waxes. So you will, if you compare these two, you will definitely see a much more harder paste. But the thing I wanted to achieve with the Spitshine especially is that I wanted to have a hard Spitshine polish, hard wax polish, that doesn't really get the issues with cracking as much. Because when you usually apply a wax with too much montan wax or too hard wax, it could easily crack. But with this one, we didn't really have those issues because we tweaked it to be optimized, to tweak out those issues, those features that you could find in those with those kinds of waxes.
Got it. So the Sublime Wax ranks at the Super Slick. What about the Spitshine?
Shines like a diamond, obviously.
Of course.
Because again, here we use turpentines optimized to have evaporation rate, which helps to build layers really fast. Mm-hmm. Harder waxes to build a solid wax layer. So definitely shines like diamond, top tier. And when it comes to the creams, we have the artistic cream. And again, you can't compare a proper cream to a polish, two different kinds of products. But the wonderful part about the artistic cream that we're really proud of is that you really get a really fantastic shine, but still good water repellency.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
So it does provide good nourishment. It does provide pigmentation, I would argue that our cream has less pigmentation to, for example, Pommadier, which would be an advantage for some that might over-apply it. But my focus on the cream is a high shine, obviously not a spit shine or a mirror shine, but a good shine with good water repellency and a good nourishment and pigmentation to that degree that you need.
Fantastic.
So definitely a top cream.
Yeah, so you'd say that one is also, it shines like a diamond, or?
Oh, yes. That one shines, because actually the shine from Artistic Cream is fantastic.
Next up is another one very similar to Kiwi. It's kind of that supermarket brand. I know that I've definitely been upsold this one in a lot of sort of high street shoe stores, is Dasco.
So compare Dasco Polish to PB or Saphir. The biggest difference you will see is the lack of turpentine. They will use naphtha. While it's cheaper and the argument for turpentine could be health issues. Some people are more concerned about the health, which is a bit overrated. But the thing about the Dasco is it uses a mixture of yes, you have carnauba wax, but you also have some synthetic waxes that are not optimized for a good shine. So obviously for a general shine, for something that you use on your everyday shoe, fair enough. It's okay.
So a daily gleam.
Daily gleam, yeah, absolutely. It's not the worst you could get. It's not, but it's okay. Definitely okay to use.
And what about soft cream polishes for Dasco?
They do have one, and for the price points, it's an okay cream. They use beeswax at least, so you get nourishment, you get a bit of shine. It's an okay cream. I wouldn't rank it too high. Works in a pinch.
Okay.
It's an okay cream for the price point, I would argue.
Okay, next up is one that I think a lot of the vintage aficionados will definitely recognise. It's a brand that I know has been around for many, many years, and that's Cherry Blossom.
Yeah, even from UK as well. So yes, Cherry Blossom is an interesting brand. They do have a polish, and I've actually tried it out a bit. The problem you're gonna have with it, they don't use turpentine.
Okay.
No. It's like with Dasco. It is okay polish, fair enough, but I've tried to polish with it. You can't really build layers fast. It creates a okay shine. The biggest issue with this product is the insufficient wax layer buildup. Definitely the biggest issue with this one. So it doesn't really compete with PB, Boot Black, or Saphir.
I've always seen Cherry Blossom and Kiwi, and potentially even Dasco, being as competitors amongst the kind of lower echelons, also lower price bracket. I think that's the reality, right?
Yeah, which is fair enough. I mean, they compete at a different segment. So again, it's a bit apples and pears, but like you have to still compare price point and quality, and definitely a okay brand for someone that likes their specific formulations. But trying them out, not really impressed with especially the polish. The cream, Daily Gleam, absolutely okay cream. Provides a bit of shine. Yeah.
So you'd rank the cream higher than the
polish.
Wax?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
So the cream came in at Daily Gleam, and the polish, it works in a pinch.
It works in a pinch, yeah.
Got it.
Definitely.
Okay, next up is a Spanish brand of shoe polish, Tarrago. Not one that I've had a lot of experience with, so I'd be intrigued to hear your thoughts.
I'm actually very fond of Tarrago as a middle segment polish, actually. Because if you look at their formulation, they make sure to use natural waxes, beeswax, carnauba wax classics, mineral waxes, which would be, I don't know exactly what kind of mineral waxes, but I would assume a bit of montan wax, a bit of other types of mineral-based waxes that are important to create a gel. So their formula is more stable and more clean or neat, which is good. They don't use turpentine. They have the same problem if you want to build layers as you would have with Dasco or Cherry Blossom, but definitely an okay good polish. I would say I would definitely rank this Daily Gleam. If you compare that to, for example, the Dasco and the Cherry Blossom.
Good to know. So is that one that I should probably look at to include in my own shoe care routine?
Yeah, if you're going for it's obviously slightly cheaper. So if price point is important for you, I would definitely go for Tarrago actually.
Nice, good to know. Do they do a cream polish?
Yeah, which is a good one. They make sure to use good ingredients, get fair good water repellency, which again, it's a balance. Maybe the shine is not as good as, for example, the definitely not Artistic Palette, definitely not PB, definitely not Saphir, but it's good. I would rank it Daily Gleam definitely.
So a consistency with Tarrago polishes.
Definitely consistency, and I think Tarrago, they do good products. So the next brand that's really interesting is Lincoln.
Okay.
This is an American brand that is established in the 1920s in California, San Francisco. It's a bit interesting because they seem to have a great following. I mean, fan base for really shoe care lovers. That military passion for a high shine, military spitshine, so to say.
Okay. So what made the brand special to begin with? You say 1920s?
Yeah. So it seems to be that the founders sort of were the passionate people of a high shine shoe. And you can really see it in the product that they focus a lot on high shine. The product works really well for high shine. And you can that is highly reflected in the fan base, that they're as passionate as me, which is great, and which gives that brand some credit.
Excellent. What are they like price point?
It's a fairly good price point for the quality, I would say. Yeah, it's a good product for the price. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So where would you rank their wax polishes, their harder polishes?
Daily Gleam.
Yeah.
The polish is the Daily Gleam. It's a good polish, and I think that's their hero product.
So again, quite similar consistency with, for instance, Tarrago that we saw earlier. So if you're looking for something that's going to give you a decent return on your money, then Lincoln.
Definitely. I mean, they have passion, so definitely a good bang for the buck. Definitely.
So essentially Anders, but 100 years ago.
Good point.
Finally, we come to a brand that, again, is new to me, but you know a lot about, and that is Pure Polish.
Yeah. Again, an American brand, also like Lincoln, made in United States. And they bring something new to the table.
Okay.
So instead of using turpentine, they actually use orange oil. Why they do this is because they feel that the turpentine, being a bit harsh generally to the user, the orange oil is more fresh, which is definitely the case. It has more fresh smell. Funny enough, though, if you take the consistency or the content of a turpentine oil, it consists of limonen, which is the main component of the orange oil. So actually, they are similar slightly, but the orange oil will have similar flash points like the turpentine, because it is a terpene kind of molecule. So it's an interesting concept, and I think they achieved a really nice both polish and cream. So why you want to use Pure Polish is mainly because you want something that has a different smell.
So if you don't like that sort of really harsh, it definitely hits. We were talking about the Mirror Gloss from Saphir.
Yeah.
That one is very high turpentine scent. It kind of hits the back of your nostrils.
Yeah.
So if you prefer something that's perhaps a little kinder, especially if you have sensitivities to scents, I can imagine this is the better polish for you.
Yes and no. The main concern of turpentine is alpha-pinene, which is a terpene. Some are a bit concerned that, if you get it on your skin, it can penetrate into the bloodstream, which is true. But the problem with for example, if you look at the orange oil, is that it mainly consists of limonen. Mm-hmm. And limonen is an antioxidant, but it is highly oxidative in air. And
Okay.
once it oxidizes, it's quite harsh. If you look at the classification for the orange oil comparing to the turpentine, they're quite both harsh. So you don't get any perks health-wise with orange oil, even though some say it is. If you look at the medical and chemical properties in research, it says otherwise. So it's just that it's different, and
Got
that
it.
might be for some that has a lighter smell instead of the bit sharp one. And if you look at the polish, for example, the polish, the high shine, it only uses natural waxes, which is good. You use beeswax, carnauba wax, a good thing, obviously, because you don't have paraffins. Again, this means that you can also get a good shine. I would definitely say that. The problem, though, with the polish from Pure Polish, I would say, is consistency in graining. Because there are some, I have seen cases where you have a bit of grainy structure. And this is because even though beeswax and carnauba wax are really interesting waxes to use in a polish, you need some other waxes to create a gel. Which, and the cooling process is vital to create this gel structure, or this between the waxes and the solvents.
So does that gel structure, it creates the smoother cake of polish in the tin?
Yeah, simplified, yes.
Got it.
So and can be a bit grainy. So I would that is, I think, the downfall. But you do get really nice shine, and this is because high content of the orange oil, which has a high flash point, helps to create a good shine, and of course carnauba wax. So definitely super slick on the polish. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
So I like it. I like it. It's just, it has some issues, and I think they could be definitely better if they try to fix some of the quirks on that product. But really nice product.
And for the cream polish?
Good shine, good water. I would definitely put that on daily clean.
So there we have it. Some shoe polish brands that you've definitely heard of, as well as some that you probably haven't heard of yet, and how they rank against each other. Now, I'm curious, would you rank these polishes the same as us? What experience do you have? Let us know in the comments below. And Anders, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much.